Hi everyone, this is Joe from the Jodocast. If you enjoy what we do here at the Jodocast and think it's worth your hard-earned money, you can support the show via Patreon. The show is ad-free and we depend on the support of our generous patrons to pay our bills, upgrade old equipment, and bribe Imperial officials. Just a $2 donation gets you access to exclusive content such as off-topic discussion videos, uncut videos of the show, the ability to watch us record the show live and even chat with us as we do so, access to the patron-exclusive channel on our Discord server, access to YouTube videos before anyone else gets to watch them, and more. Consider becoming a Noodle Scooter today. And now back to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodocast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 133. My name is Evan Lewis. I am, of course, joined by the person who will make sure that my intros are always ruined, Leo Andre.
Thanks, Evan.
And thankfully, we also have with us the one man capable of keeping this crazy train on the rails. It's Joe Latovsky.
I don't think I've ever been accused of that sort of thing.
And, of course, we are also joined by the patrons in chat tonight who are very gracious and patient and are joining us.
Too numerous to mention.
Yeah, they are too numerous. There are a dozen of them. Who are joining us for this second attempt at tonight's topic. Because last time we had some technical difficulties, and then we had scheduling difficulties, and now we're finally back. And we've been collecting more drama to bring up. It's so dramatic, we're going to skip talking about what we've been playing and get right to the heart of the matter. Now, let me consult our copious notes from our wonderful episode that one person got to hear. And they were a patron, so see, exclusive episodes for
That's
patrons.
Some rare, 30 years from now, he'd be like, yeah, I was there. I heard the lost episode.
Yep. I was there the day the first time they talked about it. So.
It's going to be like those Doctor Who episodes where, all the film is, burned up and they have to, recreate it from, storyboards.
Yeah, it's going to be
shit.
some janky 3D cartoons. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, so in our drama, today's drama, more people get fired from Asmodee. All right, so looking back on, we're gonna turn our clocks back to the 30th of July, 2021, and if someone would like to, well, I suppose if neither of you are going through the notes with me, so I will get us through the timeline, and then I'll let y'all expound, not extrapolate.
Let me see if I can find the notes. It'd probably be good to actually read.
I mean, I would think so.
Quotes.
There you are.
Okay, tell me if you need me to do the voiceover for the Twitters.
That would be excellent.
Most of this is... We haven't really mentioned what we're actually talking about. Is that still some kind of surprise, or have we just been bad at introducing us?
He said it was more people got fired from Asmodee.
Right. And
he just didn't say who. But I think by now almost everybody knows it was Lucas.
And I'm gonna let the reins pass out of my hands here in a moment, but this is important. This is a disclaimer, because unless we are directly quoting someone, or at least citing a statement made, a publicly made statement, and saying who it was and when they said it, everything that we're saying is from a position of conjecture, based on what we've seen happen within the circle of Asmodee, Fantasy Flight, Atomic Mass, Edge Studios over the last 3-4 years. So we are going to be, even if we don't directly quote, we'll say, so-and-so said this date, this source, but outside of that, we are drawing conjecture based on observation. That having been said, I'm now going to pass off to Joe, who can take us through some of the events of July the 30th, 2021.
Well, it was a Wednesday. Actually, I don't know.
It was a Friday in Philadelphia.
It was a Friday. Let's see. Well, that morning, AMG happily tweeted out some previews of 2 Legion expansions. How are you supposed to say that? The Radach.
No, it was 3 of them, wasn't it? Because didn't we get like
tactical droid?
like super tactical droid and the spider droid
and the flutter.
Well, maybe they didn't do super tactical droid and the little flitter gibber.
The flitter
and
gibber.
The flibber to gibbet.
Yeah. They tweeted that
I believe
out
that's
and
its
they
official
said, look at our stuff.
Isn't it
and
great?
It looks cool. I really want that spider droid. He's cute.
Yes,
and then the same day, after we're like, ooh, new Legion stuff, Luke Eddy tweeted, hello friends, fans, and followers. As of this Wednesday, I'm no longer with Atomic Mass Games, and I'm no longer working on Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, or Armada. This was unfortunately not a decision I made. It is a bit of a thread that's not to diminish what he said, but to summarize for the listeners, basically, I liked a lot of the people I worked with, and it was a great experience, and this is a bummer, more or less. Would you agree that's kind of the gist of it?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Kind of, sad goodbye sort of thing. And then we were like, okay, what the hell is going on? That was the... there was another event on the 30th.
Yes, there was.
Released episode 1.
Yeah, which is unrelated.
It's related to the broader discussion of Asmodee is sucking. But it is unrelated to Luke Eddy being let go from Atomic Mass Games.
It was just an amazing coincidence that it came out that same day.
We obviously have no idea why they let him go. Other sources that I don't know if we have. Did you? Oh, I need to look. Have seemed to imply that it wasn't. It was just dumb business doing dumb business stuff. We don't know why. It could have been anything, but it just it seems bad.
And
yeah. I mean, having met the guy, I don't feel like he was...
he was.
I should say, having not met the guy, but spoken with him, on Twitter and Discord and stuff, and, just seen his appearances and stuff, it doesn't seem like he was maybe, let go for some of the reasons where you would be like, yay.
Like if you were a Blizzard employee. Not one of those.
Yeah. He's like the opposite of that. He seemed like a genuinely lovely person from everything I could tell. And we've interacted with him on Twitter a lot. We've seen him. He was very involved with the broader Legion community. Oh, well, let's see.
Yeah. He was. I will say that's another thing. It seems like is his amount that say he was involved in appearing on podcasts or on streams or even just popping into the Discord or the Facebook groups and chatting a little bit. That all really seemed to as really diminish once things move to Atomic Mass Games. I don't think that was...
Yeah, from everything we can tell, he was a wonderful person who he was living the dream, making miniature games for Star Wars, and then they just were like, nah. Like, there have been tweets from Gavin Duffy, who I think he used to work at Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, he was like the head of their like sculpture department, was he not?
Okay, he might have been one of the ones who was let go in the first
wave.
Not the first Purge. There was. So we can take a historical look at.
Yeah, because he I believe he wasn't let go like right away when all the miniature stuff moved over to Atomic Mass, but he was let go not long after that from Fantasy Flight, not from Atomic Mass.
Right. So there was the time. So Asmodee bought Fantasy Flight back whenever. I don't know when that was. 2015? 2014?
That was around 15 or 16. I forget exactly.
I think it's easy to put it like the negotiations probably in 2016, finalized in 17, because then by 2018, Chris Peterson was stepping out. And then the following year was Andrew Navarro stepping out.
Okay, I have found the relevant tweets I was looking for. We'll get back to them. I think it was helpful to go through a history of how Asmodee, at least from our perception, has been kind of eroding the quality of the things we like.
And not just the things, but
shitting on the people who make the things. People.
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing, is that we've spent other episodes bemoaning the state of various games. What is miniatures game going to look like for Star Wars in the future? Where is the next card game? Where's the RPGs? This, that, and the other. But this one, more than anything else, is about people that we sort of know, have spoken with, that seem to be good people, who are released or have to step away from a company that at one point or another, we would have liked to, gotten even closer with and had better working relationships with. A company that seemed, by all outward appearances to us, who I thought we paid pretty close attention to, Fantasy Flight, that's to whom I'm referring, that was a wonderful company, led by wonderful people. And since Asmodee took over, as was illustrated in the Shut Up and Sit Down podcast by Andrew Navarro, it was a roller coaster, an avalanche being held back as long as they could before they couldn't hold it back anymore. So
yeah, it was really interesting, actually, in the interview that Andrew Navarro gave to them. If you haven't listened to it, I would recommend anybody listen to it. It's a really fascinating thing to just kind of hear some of the behind the scenes things of the early days of Fantasy Flight and how things changed with Asmodee. And like one of the biggest things is so as people may or may not know, Christian Peterson was the former head of Fantasy Flight Games. He was the founder of Fantasy Flight Games. And according to Andrew, he was super involved in all the games. There was, for a long period of time, like he had to personally approve everything. Like before anything could go out, it had to go past his desk and stuff. And then when Asmodee bought them out, he left Fantasy Flight. Andrew Navarro took over, and Christian Peterson became the head of Asmodee North America. And so obviously was far less involved in the games and was more the corporate liaison. And things at Fantasy Flight, though, kind of, for the next year or so, continued as normal up until Christian Peterson then also left Asmodee North America. And then at that point, Andrew Navarro, he said that he really realized just how much interference Christian Peterson was running between Asmodee, corporate off in Europe, and Fantasy Flight here, because the Asmodee is a big corporation. They do things that corporations do. It's all about they tend to not want to take risks. They want to maximize their sales, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, and that's an understandable thing for a business to do. But at the same time, that also kind of is going to breed stagnation in games. If you never want to take risks, you're never going to get any new games. Or new types of games, I should say. People can keep making new games that just do the same shit over and over again. But yeah, he said once Christian wasn't there, there was no longer this firewall between them and Asmodee. And they kept things kind of started to change after that, and that's why not long afterwards Andrew Navarro left as well, I think.
Yeah, and then we've got then there was the Great Schism, where before that was the RPG Purge. So basically they killed the role-playing game department at Fantasy Flight, and they just fired everybody who worked in the role-playing thing, and then they said, okay, Edge Studios, which is a company based in Europe who had previously just done translations of other role-playing systems. They're okay, now this...
As far as I know, I don't think they have had published anything of their own at this point. I could be wrong. If they had, it hadn't been much. It had mostly just been doing localizations of other RPGs.
And then... So they got, okay, you guys are in charge of the RPGs now. Since then, they've said what they're making a original universe thing set in some D&D 5e system or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's all they've talked about.
They've mostly been talking about, this is the only finished product that we know is on their way, although we've gotten a little bit of news since last time we talked, is Midnight 2nd edition, which was an RPG released by FFG way back, so 15, maybe even 20 years back. They released this world with its own system. Now, of course, we're in a whole new renaissance of open game license, and yes, it's a 5th edition D&D engine for this game. So the first product coming out from Edge Studio any day now is going to be a 5th edition OGL game.
So that's about all we've gotten since. It's been a few years now since they've kind of taken the...
Yeah.
And all of these...
Yeah, we haven't even really heard about... Are they still... They are reprinting... They have been reprinting some of the source books and stuff, I believe, right? Though...
I think so. I think at least they said they were going to reprint the Star Wars stuff.
A lot of them are still available. Whether or not they're actually new printings is in question, because up until just this past spring, FFG still released its final volume of Legend of the Five Rings RPG. Although now I think we're starting to see some things marked as FFG / Edge in promotional material, came out recently the notice that we're finally getting Twilight Imperium RPG using Genesis, and it does say FFG / Edge Studio on...
I'm surprised it's taken this long to get a Twilight Imperium RPG.
So that was kind of the first big whoa, what's going on? Is
Yes.
all of a sudden we heard through, various current and former FFG employees at the time who were just kind of posting online saying this is happening, that all the role-playing game staff was just unceremoniously told you're done. Then...
Now, I will say, as I understand it, though, I think their role-playing staff was actually fairly small. Like, a lot of the work was done by freelancers, I believe.
I think at that point, yes.
But,
like, previously they'd had a much bigger department headed up by Jay Little, who had also been there for quite a while and saw the development of Warhammer 3rd Edition and Star Wars. And then, of course, both of those rolled into Genesis. Although I think Jay Little left not long after Force and Destiny rolled out. And I think Steve Horvath was also a member of the RPG team during I think so.
Really?
I remember him being in some of the videos during the development of Edge of the Empire.
So that was kind of a red flag, and then next thing to happen was they said, okay, Atomic Mass Games, who at this point had just been making Marvel Crisis Protocol, they're like, okay, X-Wing, Legion, and Armada are moving from Fantasy Flight to Atomic Mass Games because we're going to be, they're going to handle like the miniatures games, and it's like, okay. But during the process, Atomic Mass Games is located in Washington, and some people got the option to decide if they wanted to move from Fantasy Flight to Atomic Mass. Seems like most people, including many lead designers on games like Alex Davey, who created or headed the design. His name's on the outside of the box of Legion. Max Brook, he was one of the lead designers of X-Wing, and so a lot of these people were just saying, okay, you're done. Goodbye. Thanks for the stuff you did. And so that was like a big kind of shock. We're like, oh, all these names we associate with these games are gone. And they were seemingly, just let go and not even given the choice to keep working on these games.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the time, at least I was still pretty like... I don't know if optimistic is the right word, but I was like...
I mean, it still makes...
willing to look on the bright side of things, just because of the fact... I mean, we still had... I mean, Luke Eddy did move over to Atomic Mass Games.
And he got a promotion from, like, lead designer... Legion to, like, lead game designer overall at AMG.
Yeah. And then... And not only that, but Simone...
Yep.
I can't remember her last name. I'm sorry, Simone.
Elliot.
I was about to say Biles. I'm like, nope, not that one.
Yep, you're right.
Simone Biles.
Yeah. So, and then she also moved over and became studio lead there, and she was, she is someone who we have actually, I've, like at like Fantasy Flight Worlds and stuff like that. She's come up and talked to me, and I've had conversations with her in emails.
We had many conversations with her.
She's a great lady. She's a big Star Wars nerd.
Yeah, at the time, it was like, okay, well, this really sucks and feels bad because these people just got cut off. But as far as the games are concerned, this seems, we're going to specialize all the miniatures games over here, which seemed like a fine decision.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of made sense, sort of getting things into their own silos. RPGs over here, miniatures over here, board games and card games at Fantasy Flight. Fantasy Flight. They also had. This was earlier, but Fantasy Flight also stopped making their own sleeves and things like that now, and that all kind of moved over to GameGenic, which is another Asmodee company.
Oh, and books. They moved books to Aconite.
Yes, yeah. So it's, I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. Why would you, why own, 5 businesses and have 5 different companies and have each one of them all doing everything when you could have, 5 companies that all specialize in just their one thing.
Yeah, and
makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense in theory.
That's kind of how we were feeling. We're like, well, this sucks that these guys got canned unceremoniously, it seems, and a lot of their, colleagues seemed upset about it. And it's like, well, this is awful. And it wasn't just like the designers. There were just other people throughout Fantasy Flight that got let go at that time, who had different positions in the company. And I think that brings us up to Luke announcing that he had been let go. And
yeah, I think so for the most part. I mean, after everything moved to AMG, then things sort of, it just seemed like life went on as normal. Like I said, with the exception of the fact that it seemed like Luke went a lot more radio silent than he had been in the past, and I'm assuming that it was just the leadership at AMG just kind of had a different view of how to do the marketing or public relations than they did at Fantasy Flight. And, that's whatever.
And this is the tweet I was looking for that I think is very pertinent. So it is a quote tweet from Gavin Duffy, we had talked about, who, by the way, in his Twitter bio, says he's a former producer on Legion, X-Wing, and Armada. So he had a thread basically saying, well, when I first got word, I was filled with anger. I want to lash out, pull back the curtain on AMG, yell and defend my friends. However, hurling insults, pointing fingers won't help and may have made it worse for those I still care about who are still involved. And so it's a thread of kind of lifting up and promoting the work of the people who have been let go, like Luke, Max Brook, Alex Davey, and pointing out that some of the stuff we're just now learning about and coming out, like the Kashyyyk Way for Legion and the Resistance Y-Wings and stuff for X-Wing, those are still products designed by those guys. And so some of this stuff...
it's even, like, it was kind of interesting to know that, like, Yoda and some of those, like, this is... Like, this wave is all Alex Davey, really, it says the Kashyyyk Wave was Alex Davies' brainchild. Wookiees for multiple factions, Yoda, ridiculous vehicles, and of course command cards and Shuri-Wook. The sculpting team blew this wave out of the water as well. The Wookiees and the Fluttercraft are my favorite. And the command cards and Shuri-Wook is, I don't know if those are things that happen with other people, but any case, that's the thread, rather than like being hostile, is talking about the cool things that other people have done. Mm-hmm. Then a quote tweet of that is by Tim Cox, who apparently, it says he's an RPG writer, developer, editor, and a 40K WFRP. I don't know what that means. Star Wars, The End of the World, Genesis, L5R. So he obviously
Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
So he obviously used to be with the role-playing department at Fantasy Flight. And his quote tweet of Gavin's thread says, "This is a very classy and kind thread and much needed, since Asmodee has no interest in recognizing or rewarding the contributions of designers, developers, and others. The Corp has made it very clear that it sees creators as interchangeable," is what he said. Luke Eddy replied and said, "Unfortunately, yes, that much is clear." And I think that tweet kind of distills the feeling we are talking about in this episode, is that they're seemingly casting these people aside. And I think we've mentioned in the Lost episode that only one person got to hear that I don't think the games themselves are going to suffer, at least not immediately. Maybe 2-3 years down the road we'll start to see things feel a bit different in the game, or maybe they'll get less imaginative. I don't know. I'm sure they'll... I don't think, these games sell like crazy. They're going to keep finding people to make them, and they're going to keep coming out steadily. I don't think the games themselves are going to slow down or get like better or worse. Maybe we'll start to notice, there's less kind of soul behind them, but it just feels bad knowing that these things that we like so much are treating these people that we like so much poorly. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that there was a job posting for a game developer 6 days after Luke Eddy tweeted that he was gone.
Yeah.
And I quote tweeted and I just said, huh. And then Gavin Duffy just responded with the Akbar saying it's a trap. So
yeah, I thought that was really like wow, they let go of Luke, and I guess it's not really that big a deal. Like from a business standpoint, it's like
made a hole, you gotta fill it.
You let a person go, you've got an opening, you're gonna post it. I don't know, tweeting it though is I don't know, feels different than just posting it on a.
Yeah, it just had like a weird tone.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, but they also kind of did the same thing like about a week earlier with the
it was painters.
Oh yeah, they were looking for studio painters, and like the way the tweets they made about it and stuff, like they posted in like the Legion Facebook group, and they like were tweeting about it and stuff, and I don't know. It just made me really suspicious because it's always like, yeah, usually when companies go through channels, like not your normal, like job searching channels or whatever, I feel like they're going to want you to do these mini paintings for exposure.
But they weren't.
They did say that no, it is an actual paid position. So good on them for that.
I tweeted and I'm like,
it just, I don't know. Their tweets just felt weird. And like, I've seen similar things like that all too often where it is just like, no, you don't get paid, but you know, we put your name in fine print down here, you know, so everyone knows it's you. Isn't that great? You know, I've seen that shit too often to where like I was just immediately suspicious.
Right. But yeah, I did tweet, I'm like, hopefully they pay whoever they pick, and then they responded like, yes, we definitely pay. I'm like, well, that's good. It's just like you said, the tone of the tweet felt weird, and like given the context of like artists being exploited.
Now you did not
our suspicions.
You didn't do a follow-up tweet and be like, oh, do you pay in USD? Do you pay in US dollars?
I think that was understood, hopefully. It turned out that's why Luke was let go. He like demanded to be paid in like U.S. currency, and they're like, "No, you get Asmo bucks."
I mean,
the company store.
The script to at the company store.
Yeah,
they've got like their own like 1930s like labor union songs that they go. You design 50 minis.
What do you get? I mean, I wouldn't say that if they said, well,
you know, though, that's the thing. Like, you know, this. Honestly, I guess I don't know the state, but the status. But maybe this is another industry that needs to look at unionizing, like video game developers.
It does, because in around the same time that this was happening, word got out about what Games Workshop was paying its people. And it's not great. Like, it's not... Oh,
yeah. I do remember seeing some of that. And, you know, and of course there's always the, you know, the chuds going around who are like, what are they complaining about? They're getting to, you know, they get to design Warhammer. You know, I would do it for free. Yeah, well, you know, maybe you would, but... then you would starve.
You know, just live on ramen your entire life. You can do it. Hey, you're making Warhammer. In any case, but yes, you're absolutely 100% correct. Like, this is a pattern. Like I said, most everything that we're talking about that's not a direct quote is observed patterns of what we've been seeing in the industry, and obviously this is not an isolated thing.
Yeah. So it's hard to get super. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm upset that Luke's gone, but at the same time, it's like this is just how things go.
Yeah.
You know?
And we had kind of seen a degradation, talking about how even as recently as 5 years ago, which would have been 2016, and we had talked on our lost episode about how 2016, at least for me, was peak FFG. Not just peak Star Wars FFG, but peak FFG just in terms of the sheer number of articles put out every single day. And there'd be videos, if it was behind the scenes or how to play. They had daily footage from Gen Con. They'd have, Worlds, had tons of videos each day. We went to Worlds in 2016, and then ever since then, from pretty much...
It was us.
You're right. We are to blame.
They saw us walk into their store, and they were like, Is it worth it anymore?
So I had gone to... I've been to several Fantasy Flight Worlds, and shit never...
No, but that was the time the three of us were there.
Before then, so...
That was the time all three of us...
So it was not me.
No, but it might have been you plus us. The three of us combined made a Voltron of consumer that they said, you know what? It's just not worth it to do it for these guys.
This is who we've got representing us, huh? Well,
it was the year of, I think we had mentioned, that was the year X-Wing, Legion, Armada, Imperial Assault all existed at the same time.
LCG.
And the LCG.
And
Destiny was right on the...
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because that was just barely, because that was the last Worlds for
Destiny
the LCG.
Destiny was being demoed, I think. Destiny was, right around the corner.
Yep. We were able to play Destiny demos. I think Destiny came out that December.
Yeah.
So later that
Legion,
winter.
What was it called?
Rune Wars.
No, Legion wasn't out in 2016. My mistake.
Yeah, Legion
was 2018.
There wasn't. Maybe 2018 was our peak because Legion and Imperial Assault coexisted for a time.
Okay, but
yeah, because I remember I was this close to I had decided to buy Legion.
Oh,
or to buy Imperial Assault finally. And then, the next day, I saw some people, posting on, FFG forums and stuff like that. And they're like, guys, Fantasy Flight has filed this trademark for Star Wars, for something called Star Wars Legion. And I was like, oh, man, Gen Con's only, a couple months away. They're maybe going to announce something there. Legion sounds like a bigger army game. Fuck Imperial Assault.
The other thing I might be worth noting is a trend we noticed that previously in the olden times, the products releasing they coincided in a more timely way with the wider Star Wars world. The Force Awakens comes out months before that. They have a new X-Wing core set with Force Awakens stuff. Last Jedi comes out. Before that, they have a Destiny starter with Last Jedi stuff.
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One. There was some Rogue One stuff. There was kind of there's a new Star Wars movie. I can expect to see these things in Fantasy Flight products.
Even Imperial Assault got the whole Ghost crew.
Yeah, the Rebel stuff started popping up in the LCG and in Imperial Assault while that show was still on the air.
LCG.
And it was cool. It was fun to be in, because you're into this Star Wars, zeitgeist, and then it's, here too. We haven't had that for a while. The Mandalorian premiered in fall 2019, and it has not appeared in any games from Fantasy Flight or now Atomic Mass Games, other than they have...
Yeah, we've been told it's
a while back.
The Razor Crest is coming to X-Wing.
They announced that at the mini...
And we've seen a piece of art for a card, but that's it. Not even not even a 3D model of the mini.
And then a couple of years ago or something at Adepticon or some con.
Yeah, no, it was at at
GDC?
Gamma.
Yes.
Yeah, it was at Gamma 20, was it 2019?
Yeah,
or 2020.
It was right before Adepticon that we were gonna go.
Yeah,
to.
it was. Yeah, because it was right before shit locked down.
Yeah, and they said Mandalorian stuff is coming to Legion in just like a PowerPoint slide, and that was the first and last time we ever heard word of that. And we did get. There was one ship for X-Wing from Resistance. No, two. There was two. There was the Red TIE Fighter. I don't remember if those came out when the show was still on or a little bit after that.
I think it was at least more timely. It was close enough.
Yeah. If the show wasn't done, I mean, it was at least close to when the show was still
seasons. On. So it was right in there.
We're only just getting stuff from Rise of Skywalker for X-Wing. They've just announced like Resistance Y-Wings and a couple First Order things, which some of which are from Resistance. It's just it hasn't had that like timely thing, which like I want Mandalorian things to play with. I want High Republic stuff. Like I'm not sure.
Yeah, the fact that there's no High Republic source book for the role playing game just drives me nuts.
It is quite criminal. The fact that there's no High Republic expansion for the Star Wars CCG is
you meant the Star Wars LCG. Young man.
Nobody cares about that.
It's something that I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, it could be out of their hands. It could be a change in how Lucasfilm.
I mean, I would say, I'm sure that is probably more Lucasfilm than anything. I'm willing to bet
even
that they're probably that. I would think that they would probably be like, please let me make some Mandalorian shit, and and I'm sure that's more of like a Lucasfilm Disney thing where they're like, well,
they have Lucasfilm has recently gotten even like kind of worse about that. We're not getting a Cobb Vanth or new Boba Fett action figure until like sometime late next year. Like these, like when Marvel has a new thing, those toys are on the shelf before the thing even airs, and that's fun and it's cool because now you can have that thing right away when you're watching the thing. Lately with Star Wars, like the new thing comes out, okay, you get to like remember that time you were really into it, a year from now or whatever. Like I've seen it with the action figures, so I'm wondering if that's kind of bled into a lot of the other licensing where they're like, no, well, because they're so worried about the spoilers and stuff. But even back when they did, because I know talking to Alex Davey, two of the issues with the things we said X-Wing got beforehand, the Force Awakens core set, Poe was a lower pilot skill than the max pilot skill, which immediately everyone was like, Poe is a better pilot than this. When the Rogue One stuff came out, the TIE Striker didn't have a bomb slot. In the visual dictionary, it says this thing can have a bomb. People were like, well, it should have a bomb. And this was because they were working on it before those films were even out, and they were given like the bare minimum information from Lucasfilm. They're like, this is what the thing looks like. This is like maybe who pilots it, and this is the general gist of it. And they got, the bare minimum because they're very strict about that sort of information. But I guess maybe now they're like, you know what? Why don't we just
do nothing?
You guys can wait. Yeah, it's sad. I miss those days.
And you'd think at this point, well, what you said about please let us make some Mandalorian stuff. I mean, they were sitting. We know at this point that they were sitting on Baby Yoda stuff. Like they knew like we can market the crap out of this. So we could assume, and if it were to, I mean, we can certainly believe when Steve Horvath says, yes, we've been talking with Lucasfilm, and this was circa February of 2020. when things were still normal and operating at a relatively consistent level of, yep, we're doing it. We are absolutely 100% doing it. Like, I don't think he would have been talking out of his ass about, well, we hope so, because they've always been good about saying we will not comment on unannounced products. So, who knows? We know Lucasfilm likes to make money.
Yeah.
That's not a mystery.
Right, that's the other thing is, like, well, you think these things would, like, as Star Wars fans, yes, if you sell me a Cobb Vanth a year from now, I'll be as excited as I would have been a year ago or whatever. But it's more fun when it's that recent, and for other, like, people walking by, if they see this thing that they just saw on TV, they're probably more likely to be interested in it. Right? I don't know. I'm not a marketing person. I hate marketing, but...
Hey, brand synergy is, a joke of a phrase, but they're not wrong.
I mean, right before Last Jedi came out, and those Destiny starters with Rey and Kylo on the box were everywhere. Like, it worked. They're at Target.
Perfect product at the perfect time. I do want to go back to one thing that, spools into some more questions that we talked about on the Lost episode. I mentioned how, even just a few years ago, every day FFG had news. It might not have always been Star Wars news, but you could count...
They had a schedule. There was an article every day. I mean, for a while there was, like, you knew, like, every Thursday there was going to be a Legion article. And, like, you'd see it, like, on the Legion Discord. It would be, like, Wednesday, and someone would be like, where's the Legion article? And people would be like, no, dumbass, today is Arkham Day. They put out an Arkham article on Wednesdays. Legion is Thursdays. And it was just like they had the schedule, and they were always just bum, 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 bum. Every day there was something.
How was that?
I said it was like this. Bum, 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 bum,
oh,
bum,
got
bum.
it. Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
Maybe you should listen.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what whiskey are you having tonight?
Larceny.
Oh, that's why. You got an attitude.
Yeah. See, people, this is the shit I deal with. I mean...
First my kids all day, and now we got these two. What a life.
Life, eh?
So yes, we got a ton. The point is, FFG gave us nonstop news, constant nonstop news from every single one of its universes.
I'll tell you what. I have a productivity tool on my Chrome that I can pick which websites and amount of time, and for example, it'd be like 2 hours. Twitter, YouTube, whatever. If I spend that much time on those sites collectively, it'll block me from them. Fantasy Flight's one of those, because I used to spend so much time on the Fantasy Flight website. Every day I'd look at it and see what was new. I haven't been on fantasyflight.com in months and months and months. And I'm sure you were about to say, Atomic Mass Games, they don't got it with that. They tweet things, and it's not... do they post them on Facebook and Instagram too? Because it's...
Yeah. In fact, this was kicked off this conversation by a question from patron Meat Castle last time when we were live, and he says, do they have like influencers, people like us but who make money, who do this for the Asmodee baby companies instead of doing it themselves?
Sell out.
Hey, you know what? If FFG said, we still like the cut of your jib, come up to Minnesota and work for us, I'd be packing, because...
My wife called me a Star Wars board game influencer once, and I don't know how I feel about it.
That's so sweet. I'm going to get you that t-shirt. So, the answer to Meat Castle's question is no. I mean, it would have been Team Covenant, but even they have sort of stepped away a bit from being almost FFG exclusive.
Right. They used to have a very tight relationship with Fantasy Flight as far as interviews and especially previews. Previews used to be a very big deal with Fantasy Flight product. These days, it just gets tweeted on the Atomic Mass Games thing. That's where all the like exclusives break.
It's all via social media.
If you have news, yes, you should be putting it on social media. But I don't know. It would be real nice to have it laid out in an article because I like going through the Fantasy Flight used to have the articles where there's always two articles. The article that announced the thing, which built the hype. It had the picture of the product and maybe one card. And then a while later, there was another article like previewing the product that explained the new mechanics and had images of most of the cards. And now Marvel or Atomic Mass, they tweet like the image and then they kind of slowly drip tweet more cards. And there's never any info besides this is what the product looks like and here's a couple of the cards from it.
I kind of like, especially when it's like a new keyword or new mechanic in the article. Again, even though half the time they were written somewhat incorrectly, it was always neat for them to be like, here's how you might use this thing,
What's very weird to me, so speaking of Fantasy Flight and all the time we used to spend on their website, on Atomic Mass Games website, I don't know when the last time it was updated. There's definitely pictures of the newest Marvel Crisis Protocol things, but if I said, hey, Atomic Mass website says a company, what do they do? And you go to atomicmassgames.com, there's not a mention of Star Wars anywhere. There was those blog posts about when they first took over Star Wars.
Yeah,
and
if you click on
organized play,
click on the hamburger off to the right, and there's the Star Wars organized play announcement, and then there's the Star Wars Q&A, and of course shop just goes to the Asmodee store.
Right, but the whole website is branded around Crisis Protocol.
Yes, it absolutely is. And speaking of articles, they do have articles.
Yeah, they don't even really have a link to. I mean, they finally got around to creating forums for. Was it X-Wing that they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think is great. That they're getting, an official place back for people to talk about this stuff and whatnot. But where is that on their website? I can't find it.
I don't know.
Forums.atomicmassgames.com, but I don't know how to get there from their website.
Yeah, I'm looking on atomicmassgames.com and
if anyone listening to this is saying, which normally would be me, saying, hey, they're working on it. And we know. But they've been working on it.
They are. I mean, clearly they didn't have these forums at the beginning. They have them now. And they said they plan on continuing to expand them out. So that's great.
I'm just blown away that there are these nice articles about the Crisis Protocol expansions.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we have these for the Star Wars ones?
It's a good question.
I would say they should be not at the very bottom of the page. They should be at the top.
Yeah, or like these YouTube trailers. How can we get a YouTube trailer for a Legion expansion?
Right?
Just in general, you don't want the top of your page, the first thing that you see, to just be the same damn splash page that's been there since 2018.
That's why Luke got fired, because he was like, can we get some YouTube trailers for Legion also, maybe? Could we get some articles for Legion? And they were like, God, shut up, Luke. We like Marvel better.
The top 2/3 of the page is a scrolling banner, but the images are just images.
Yep.
Like, they're not like links to news articles. They're just, here's some art from Crisis Protocol that don't link anywhere. It's very weird.
If you click on them, they do link to
I'm clicking on them and it's just scrolling through them.
Well, maybe your browser's garbage.
They
work for me.
Garbage. And if it
I will
They
say...
all work for me. They like go to like store pages where you can buy them, and there's like a little...
There you go.
Oh, weird. It's definitely just scrolling through the images as I click. So I mean, that's
Get a real browser.
Clear your cache. Because that happened to me when I was on FFG's site recently. I was like, oh no, it's broken. The end is nigh. And y'all were just like, clear your cache.
It's on me for using the most popular web browser that developers like.
I feel it. I feel that. But you know whose website did just get updated, and it's not much, but Edge Studio, before, for the longest time, it was, we love games. It's like, yeah, we get it. But now it's changed to a big splash page of L5R.
We hate games.
We don't like them anymore. I mean, we like them, but we don't like them. But now it's like, hey, we are on the cusp. We are coming soon. And at the very least, you know what? AMG should have like a Star Wars hub that's like, hey, it's almost here. I apparently I can't say.
Oh man!
Nah, you're not gonna catch me this time.
No, sorry, I'm way behind. You said we're on the cusp, coming soon, and they're called Edge.
Oh,
that's where I'm at. Anyways,
I can't even. I am not planning to edit this too heavily because I want to get it out the door. So this should be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. In any event, yes. So there is no real there's barely a sign of life. It's like what was that movie, Proof of Life? That's basically what we get from AMG right now is proof of life, and that's it. We get the tweets, and I guess it is on Facebook. I mostly see them on Twitter. I see FFG posting a lot of stuff on Twitter, like their interactive fiction. Like they're actually doing it now with Unfathomable. They did it before with New Descent, where they'll be taking a Twitter poll to make some story out of it with the followers, and that's cool. And they do stuff on Instagram quite a bit. They're doing stuff now where it's like win this Arkham Horror art book from Dark Horse Games or Dark Horse Comics, and there's a level of interaction there that FFG is still trying to do. Edge is mostly active on Facebook, which I think is interesting. And of course, every time they post something that's like, hey, look at this thing we're actually working on, like the Twilight Imperium stuff, then everyone's just like, what about Star Wars? And it's like, okay, look. They are starting from the ground up more than anybody else. So
No. What about Star Wars?
What about Star Wars? For real, though. What about Star Wars?
They are... But what about Star Wars?
It's a good question.
That's the name of this episode.
So, Star Wars. What's up with that? That's the name of the episode.
What's
up with Star Wars? As far as what we get, that's it. We get Twitter, we get tweets, we get social media posts. There's hardly
we do have Mini Stravaganza coming up. Mini Stravaganza 2 coming up.
Mini Stravaganza 1 I thought was pretty good. It was a bit
all things
short
considered,
notice, but it was great. The panels they had, I thought were the ones I watched were wonderful. I loved them.
Yeah, all the ones about the minis, the painting panels were great. I thought really all good. The painting ones were really good.
Just I like that energy. That just give it to somebody who works on the website or something.
Yeah.
I
need a web developer job.
I think for me, I'm really curious. I think more curious about what is going to happen more with like the OP side of things. Because I feel like FFG as a company was more focused on trying to make like Legion, X-Wing, Armada, trying to make them competitive games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Atomic Mass as a company is more focused on the hobby side of things rather than the competitive side of things.
Which for me is like, okay, that's a green check mark. That's a good
I'm fine with that myself. That being said, I like having the little prize kits of all the promo cards, like alt art cards and stuff, for when I run my leagues at the the stores.
Both of you were champions.
I feel like a while ago they were saying there was going to be a new kit, or at least the store that was running our league told us that they were told that there would be a new kit, which there wasn't yet. But I feel like
nothing new yet.
It's all been obviously slowed down by the pandemic, and because people haven't been meeting, and I think on that front, I think I'm just going to kind of wait and see. Either way, like if it's like how Fantasy Flight did it, I guess that worked for me fine. If it's something new and a little bit more laid back, that sounds good too.
Which honestly, surprisingly, Games Workshop organized play is laid back. Like they don't really do much.
Yeah. Let's move Worlds to Emerald City Comic-Con instead of Adepticon. Yeah. I want another excuse to go back to Seattle again.
See JodoCast episode 132 for examples of how Games Workshop does things.
That's right. I'm trying to get us through our notes from last time. Let's see here. Oh, I did want to give a shout out to Aconite Books. They have taken over the novel printing from FFG, and they're putting out a lot. In fact, they just, earlier today, laid out their entire spring release slate. Like, everything they're coming out with has been announced. So it's going to be a whole bunch of new Marvel books, Arkham Horror, L5R, specifically Marvel Crisis Protocol, and some Twilight Imperium, and it's good stuff. Like, and they're just out there spilling the beans, telling everyone, hey, these are all the books coming out up through, like, second quarter of 2022. So, we talked about how, like, over the next year, the games, shouldn't look any different, theoretically, because it's stuff that has been worked on by the team, and it's just going to be coming out, like you already mentioned, about how the Wookiee wave is Alex Davies stuff, or at the very least inspired. So that's just now coming out, so we've got a lot of stuff from the team still on its way. Last time Joe made the point of saying another reason we'll miss Luke and we already miss Alex. This has already been mentioned, is that they were both very involved with the communities. They were out there talking with people, not just us, talking to other folks, like at conventions, taking time out to sit with folks. So,
they go on Facebook, on Discord, and I don't know. I'm hoping we'll see some similar kind of interactions with Atomic Mass, but that remains to be seen.
Oh, and new patron goal is to hire Luke Eddy. So we'll try to put that on the Patreon pretty soon. Asterisk. That's a joke.
We're going to hire Luke Eddy to come on and to design our combined X-Wing, Armada, Legion campaign game that if you're on Discord, actually they were discussing it a bunch here over the past day or so, and there's some really interesting ideas some people have been coming up with that I like.
Yeah, some people, not me. My ideas were garbage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but
I appreciate that. That's very unlike you. So, also from Patron Chat, it's very glaring how long the FFG RPGs have been out of the spotlight since going to Edge. We mentioned that too. They've been the quietest about everything they've been doing, but most especially the Star Wars stuff, they're pretty much just, not returning anyone's calls about Star Wars stuff, and maybe, the release model that they used for Star Wars RPG wasn't the best. It was a little odd.
I really hated the whole, Edge of Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, grouping that they did.
Mm-hmm. They kind of flooded their own market.
Mostly it was the core books. I mean, because you could just have the Edge of Empire core book and for the most part use any of the Age of Rebellion or source books. It's a little harder with Force and Destiny because you didn't really have the full Force rules unless you bought the Force and Destiny book. But yeah, I wish they really should have had all three of those source books just as one. Or two, but have it be, your more standard model of Game Master's book and player's handbook kind of thing. But whatever.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say. I don't remember what it was.
You'll probably think of it as soon as I start talking. We did mention.
No.
No? Okay. I believed you. You.
But what about Star Wars?
Yeah.
So about those Star Wars RPGs, we didn't even bring up the quick death that was FFG Digital was given after the release of Lord of the Rings, the digital card game. That is still being released. It might even be on Xbox Game Pass right now. So if you've got that, hey, go give it a shot. Lord of the Rings card game is solid. The card game, the physical card game, is still in its first version. It's never going to change because it's.
I've heard that I thought I heard that the digital edition cut some stuff out though.
Probably.
So it wasn't as good. I don't know.
I don't
know. They did release a digital version of the Game of Thrones board game, was it? Not that long ago. I'd like to try that out.
Oh,
sometime.
that does ring a bell.
But that wasn't Fantasy Flight. That was Asmodee Digital or Asmodee Interactive or whatever they call their digital arm that put that out.
I want to say it's Asmodee Digital. I think it's how it appears on Steam. And they're continuing to put stuff out. We did mention that Mansions of Madness Mothers something did come out eventually. That was announced way back. Yeah. And I didn't hear anything about it.
Asmodee, and Asmodee, they bought, the board game Arena they bought not that long ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
I'm still kind of waiting for that to be... And now that they have that, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more cease and desists on Tabletop Simulator add-ons.
That is an excellent point. Well, that's another thing that we, it's kind of another topic that is going on in the Games Workshop world right now is an update to their fan animation policy that has been passively, they've not been actively sending C&Ds, but people have been closing down their YouTube channels where they make Warhammer fan animations, and the fact that we're not seeing that kind of thing happening with TTS, FFG, AMG products is shocking. It's shocking. Anyways, FFG still is bringing out app-driven games like the Descent, not 3rd edition. It's a different game, just very similar. And I got it, and it looks very cool. Some of the best board game miniatures I have ever seen. It's hard plastic, like you get off of a sprue, but they're all assembled and waiting to be painted. They're very cool. We used to know who was working on what. Like you mentioned, there would be people's names on products. We, if they said, "Yep, this game is being developed by these guys and these guys," and we don't know anymore. According to I believe is a Facebook post, and this is one that I'm not sure on. Someone else can enlighten me. That according to Alex Davey, now that Luke Eddy is gone, there is nobody from the original team remaining on Legion development. So
yeah.
So we just don't we don't know unless it's Will Pagani or Will Schick, one of the Wills, Guardians of the Wills out there at AMG that are in charge of it now. I mean, it's just a guess at this point. We just don't know anyone, and that's not just like, we don't have an in with anybody anymore. We don't have Fargo represent making Star Wars anymore. It's not just that. It's like we no one tells us. It used to be open knowledge, and now it's not, and that kind of stinks too. Insert joke from last time. There is no war at FFG. It was funny at the time.
Oh, yeah. I feel like there were some jokes about how Kathleen Kennedy is... some joke about that. Jon Favreau is desperately trying to save Fantasy Flight Games.
Kathleen Kennedy is firing all the men and making Brie Larson the new head of studio. That's what it is. Clearly. It's been almost 2 years. Stupid work computer making noises. Almost 2 years since that interview where they announced Mandalorian plus Star Wars Legion. I'm going to go on mute. Y'all talk... Well, actually, you kind of talked about that already.
I think...
Yeah, we done covered that already, bro.
Well,
I was trying to cue you to the next one while my stupid computer did stupid things.
Is there more to talk about?
We talked about High Republic Sourcebook, Outer Rim. Shut up, computer. Outer Rim expansion might have been one of those things that got keel-hauled by shuffling of teams.
No, it's still alive.
Yeah,
it's alive.
Make our own.
It.
Geode operative, because he's old, he's ageless. He was in Rise of Skywalker. Everyone knows that. He was in one of the ships at the end of the movie. I don't know why that thing's doing
really
that.
Summarizing all the stuff we talked about.
It was good stuff. It's good stuff. I got to get it in here.
Oh my god, you actually have Measuring Leo next to his Tower of Shame written down in the notes from what we did in the other video. that failed to record.
That's how we measure everything now. Like, how many Towers of Shame tall are you? But like,
I thought you were going to say how many Leos.
Because how many Towers of Shame are you? And it's it's not a good measurement because it usually gets larger, but sometimes it gets smaller.
It's a dynamic measurement, and that's not static. You can't be static. Stagnation leads to extinction. So yeah, we had that whole episode about Star Wars card game. I guess that's not a thing anymore, is it? Game Center.
I could make my tower taller, but Yoda got delayed again here. So
ugh. See, damn it.
I'm picturing. Here's something for someone has a role playing setting or whatever. A unit of measurement that is defined by the king that changes like every year.
Oh. That is kind of a good idea, actually.
Because that sounds like, it's one king-o-meter, but like every year they have to like put a new like marker out so people actually know how long it is.
They measure it by one king, but unfortunately he became king when he was like
12.
Yeah, like 12. So he keeps getting taller every year, so they have to keep updating the measurement all the time.
When he got his like knees chopped off,
it went back down. Yeah.
Then he died unexpectedly, and like his son became king, who was an infant.
Man,
the people who are planning it, they had the plans all drawn up. They're like, okay, this is only 1.5 kilometers, and then so now they.
Well, can you
the
have
change happened before they could redraw it. Now it's tiny compared to what they thought.
Are there fractions in Kings because of his missing legs? Like, where was he? But we got to subtract the legs now.
No. Now without the legs, that's
one...
the measurement has now changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the change. It's
okay. Well,
every year on the new year they unveiled the measuring stick. That is the. I think that was.
I like this.
It didn't fluctuate all the time, but there was it's probably in like London or something. There's like maybe it's in Paris. The official like foot, inches. Maybe it's for meters now. There's like an official like rod that was made hundreds of years ago. That's like this is exactly how much a meter is.
Probably
so
London.
That, like, if you ever really, really need to know, you go compare it to this like stick that's in a museum somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I thought Paris. There's like, isn't that where like the official like
the atomic clock,
gram or kilogram or whatever it is?
Yeah. Cool. Well, all this brand new material, folks. This is all for you. We're going to speed through this. I just want to also remind everyone that Dave Filoni is planning to sell an RPG book with a replica of his hat that the GM has to wear at all times, yes, including bathroom and sex time. And FFG is just going to become a Cthulhu factory, the Cthulhu Ex Machina. We're all sad. Tower of Shame. All of FFG's old videos are all still on YouTube. Go watch those and be sad. But also the Shut Up and Sit Down documentary on Twilight Imperium will give you some strong 2016-27 vibes. And you'll be happy, then you'll be sad. And that's pretty much the moral of this episode, is that hope is the first step towards disappointment. We could leave it there, but I feel like there's going to be something inspirational coming from Joe and Leo.
Go get him, Tiger.
Okay, so we got a Mary Jane quote. He's kicking the ball over, rugby style, to Leo. Leo, you have to take us out on a high note. There's one thing you're good at.
I can't. No, sorry. I was watching Evangelion last night. I'm just all depressed.
Okay, well, that's fair. There you go. And now you know the rest of the story. All right, well, you know what? Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joe.
I used to have a teacher a social studies teacher that called me Leo Harvey because I loved Paul Harvey so much.
I thought it was going to go Leo Harvey Oswald.
Good day. Oh man, that should be our sign off. Leo,
that's the end. That's where we cut off the episode, is with you saying good day.
Good day.